In a world that glorifies noise, exposure, and constant validation, there is something incredibly powerful about privacy. Silence is no longer popular, but it is sacred. Privacy is not about hiding. It's about protecting the most precious parts of who you are. When you live a private life, you protect yourself from the eyes that judge, from the hearts that envy, and from the pressure of people who don't understand your journey. Because here's the truth. Most people don't see your purpose. They only see your progress. They don't know what it took for you to stand where you are today. The nights you spent questioning yourself. The moments when faith was the only thing that held you together. And when you constantly expose your path to others, you invite opinions that were never meant to shape your destiny. A private life keeps you free from unnecessary noise. It keeps your energy intact. You begin to move differently. You stop seeking validation and start seeking alignment. You stop explaining yourself and start growing in silence. There is strength in not being understood by everyone, because what God is doing in you does not need everyone's approval. When you work in silence, you begin to realize that peace is a luxury you can only afford when you stop performing for the world. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your transformation. Some victories are meant to be celebrated quietly, with gratitude in your heart, not with applause from the crowd. Because real success doesn't scream, it whispers. It doesn't need to announce itself. It shows itself through results, through the glow of peace on your face, through the quiet confidence in your steps, through the stability of your spirit. The world has taught us that being loud means being successful. But look closer. The strongest trees don't make noise when they grow. The ocean doesn't boast about its depth. True power never needs to prove itself. It just is. That's the beauty of privacy. It gives you space to become. It gives you room to heal, to reflect, to build quietly what others won't understand until it's finished. And when it's time, when you finally step forward, people will look and wonder how you did it. But you'll know. It was the strength you built in silence that carried you here. And that same principle applies to something even deeper, your emotions. Because the way you manage your emotions determines the quality of your life. Emotional control is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's maturity. It's strength under grace. Anyone can react. Few can remain calm. The ability to stay centered when everything around you is shaking, that is the mark of true power. Think about it. Anyone can appear strong when life is easy. But the real test of character comes when you're hurt, when you're misunderstood, when you're tempted to lose control. That's when emotional discipline becomes your weapon. The one who can stay calm in the face of chaos is not emotionless. They're powerful. They've learned that not every battle deserves a reaction, not every insult needs a reply, and not every storm requires panic. When you control your emotions, you choose peace over ego, wisdom over impulse, and dignity over revenge. Because uncontrolled emotions are dangerous. They can make you say words you'll regret, destroy relationships you were meant to cherish, and lead you down paths that only cause more pain. That's why strength is not found in shouting louder. It's found in staying still when your spirit wants to explode. When you master your emotions, you stop letting people manipulate your peace. You stop letting circumstances dictate your happiness. You learn to smile even when you could cry. You learn to walk away even when you could fight. You learn to trust God's timing even when you don't understand His silence. Emotional control is not about pretending everything is fine. It's about knowing that no matter what happens, you have the power to respond with grace. You can carry pain without bitterness and carry joy without arrogance. You can be gentle and still be strong. You can forgive without forgetting who you are. Hold your pain with dignity. Let it teach you, not break you. Let your tears fall in private prayer, not public performance. And when joy comes, hold it with humility, because what is given can also be taken away. Emotional freedom begins when you stop being controlled by what you feel and start being guided by what you know. It's easy to let emotions rule you, but it takes divine strength to rule over them. And the moment you do, you'll start to see life differently. You'll stop reacting to everything and start responding with purpose. You'll stop fighting battles that don't matter and start walking with peace that cannot be stolen. Because at the end of the day, true strength is quiet. It's not in how loud you speak, but in how steady you stand. It's not in how many people notice you, but in how deeply you know yourself. It's not in how fast you react, but in how calmly you endure. Privacy and emotional control. They are not signs of weakness. They are signs of mastery. They protect your spirit in a world that constantly tries to distract and provoke you. They help you keep your heart pure, your focus clear, and your faith unshaken. Sometimes God hides you in a season of silence, not to punish you, but to prepare you. He's teaching you that strength doesn't come from being seen. It comes from being stable. He's teaching you to walk quietly, so that when He finally reveals you, you'll be ready, not fragile, not desperate for approval, but rooted, wise, and peaceful. So if you're in a season where no one sees what you're doing, keep going. If you feel like no one understands you, stay focused. Don't rush the process. The most powerful transformations happen in private. And when the time is right, everything you've built in silence will speak for itself. Remember, privacy guards your peace. Emotional control guards your power. Together, they form the foundation of an unshakable life. So today, choose to move quietly. Protect your energy. Control your emotions. Not everything deserves your reaction, and not everyone deserves your access. Because the strongest people are not the ones who show power. They're the ones who own it. They don't need to prove anything to anyone. Their calmness is their confidence. Their silence is their statement. Stay private. Stay peaceful. Stay powerful. Your strength doesn't need to be seen. It just needs to be lived. In a world where everyone wants to be heard, where every thought is broadcasted and every emotion is displayed, silence has become rare and powerful. Silence is not weakness. Silence is armor. It is both your shield and your sword. It protects you, and when used with wisdom, it cuts through confusion and noise like a blade of truth. In a time when everyone rushes to speak, the one who masters silence holds the greatest power, because silence creates mystery, and mystery creates strength. When people cannot predict your next move, they cannot manipulate you. When they don't know what you think, they cannot use your words against you. There is power in being unpredictable, in keeping your peace even when provoked, in staying calm when the world expects you to react. True strength does not need to shout. It doesn't need to argue, to prove, or to explain. True strength speaks quietly. It speaks through control, through confidence, through peace. The loudest person in the room is often the weakest one, but the one who listens, who observes, who holds their words, that person carries wisdom. Silence gives you space to think before you speak, to respond instead of react. It gives you time to listen, not just to others, but to your own heart. It helps you hear the voice of your intuition, the whisper of God guiding you through moments when the noise of life tries to drown out your spirit. Sometimes, silence is not about avoiding conflict. It's about protecting your energy. It's choosing peace over drama, focus over distraction, understanding over reaction. The world wants to pull you into chaos, to make you prove yourself, to make you explain who you are. But you don't owe anyone an explanation for your peace. You don't have to defend your silence. When you master silence, you master yourself. You learn that not everything deserves your attention. Not every situation deserves your words, and not every person deserves your reaction. Some things are better left unanswered because silence often says more than words ever could. There's a deep kind of confidence that comes from quiet strength, the kind that doesn't need to be noticed to feel secure, the kind that moves gracefully, without noise, without validation, without permission. Because when you know who you are, you don't need to shout about it, you simply live it. But silence alone is not enough. You must also learn the art of boundaries. Not everyone deserves access to your life. Not everyone deserves to walk in the garden of your soul. Think of your life like a sacred garden, a place filled with peace, beauty, and growth. You cannot let just anyone wander in because not everyone comes to admire the flowers. Some come to trample them. Some come to take what's not theirs. You must be wise about who you let close. Some people only want to be near your light because it makes their darkness feel smaller. Some will pretend to care while secretly competing. Some will smile at your face but envy your spirit. And if you're not careful, you'll hand them the keys to your peace. Protect your space. Not everyone deserves to know your struggles, your dreams, or your plans. Some conversations are meant only for you and God. Some wounds heal faster in private. Some blessings grow stronger when they are not exposed too early. When you learn to limit access, you don't become cold, you become wise. You start to see that peace is not about having more people around. It's about having the right people around. You begin to value quality over quantity, depth over attention, connection over company. Your energy is sacred. Don't waste it trying to please everyone. Don't exhaust yourself explaining what only time can prove. Some people are meant to be part of your journey. Others are simply lessons along the way. Learn to discern who is who. When someone shows you they don't value your time, your heart, or your energy, believe them the first time. You can love people deeply and still love yourself enough to step back. You can care without being controlled. You can forgive without giving repeated access. The truth is, boundaries are not walls, they are gates. They don't keep love out. They keep chaos out. They protect what is sacred within you. They ensure that the people who enter your life are those who bring peace, not pain. Those who add growth, not confusion. So ask yourself, who are you letting into your garden? Who are you giving emotional access to? Because every person you allow close affects your energy, your focus, your peace. Some people water your soul, while others drain it. The difference is not always obvious at first, but your spirit always knows. When you start setting boundaries, you will notice something. Peace becomes your new normal. You'll stop chasing people who don't see your worth. You'll stop explaining yourself to those determined to misunderstand you. You'll stop feeling guilty for protecting your peace, and instead you'll feel strong, calm, grounded. There is beauty in becoming selective about who you share your life with. Not because you think you're better, but because you finally realize your worth. You realize your energy is not infinite. Your time is precious. Your peace is sacred. And you'll no longer allow anyone to carelessly walk through your life as if it were public property. And here's the secret. The more you guard your silence and your space, the more power you gain. You begin to attract peace instead of chaos. You begin to draw people who match your calm instead of your wounds. You begin to hear yourself again. The world doesn't need to know everything about you to recognize your worth. You don't have to announce every move, every dream, or every plan. Let your actions speak. Let your peace speak. Let your results speak. Because when you speak less, your words carry more weight. When you limit access, your presence becomes more valuable. And when you protect your peace, your life becomes more purposeful. Silence will always be misunderstood by those who live in noise. Boundaries will always offend those who benefited from your lack of them. But stay strong, stay grounded, protect your space and your peace without apology. Because your silence is not weakness, it's strategy. Your boundaries are not distance, they're direction. Remember this, when you choose silence, you choose wisdom. When you set boundaries, you choose freedom. And when you protect your peace, you choose power. So don't be afraid to step back. Don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to let your silence speak for you. The world may not understand, but that's okay. Your peace is not meant to be explained, only preserved. You owe no one your constant access. You owe no one your peace. What you owe yourself is discipline, to stay quiet when others provoke, to stay private when others overshare, and to stay focused when others distract. Silence sharpens your mind. Boundaries strengthen your heart. Together they form an invisible armor, protecting your purpose, your energy, and your soul. So today, walk in quiet strength. Guard your garden. Speak less, observe more. Choose who you let close. And remember, the strongest voices are often the ones you never hear. Because true power doesn't make noise, it simply is. Stay silent. Stay selective. Stay strong. There is something captivating about mystery, something magnetic about restraint. In a world where everyone wants to be seen, understood, and heard, those who hold a little back, who keep part of themselves sacred, become unforgettable. Mystery creates respect. It draws attention without asking for it. It makes people lean in, curious, wondering who you truly are and what lies behind that quiet confidence. Human nature is curious. We chase what we don't fully understand. We're drawn to the unexplained, the unspoken, the depth that hides behind calm eyes. And that's why mystery is powerful. It's not manipulation, it's mastery. It's knowing that your energy, your emotions, and your story are not for public consumption. It's choosing to reveal only what is necessary and keeping the rest as sacred ground. When you stop explaining everything, when you no longer feel the need to expose every detail of your life, you shift from being predictable to being powerful. You create a sense of depth that people can feel but not define. Because what people can't easily label, they learn to respect. Mystery is not coldness. It's not distance. It's elegance. It's emotional discipline wrapped in quiet self-respect. It's the art of saying less, showing less, but being more. You don't have to tell your story for people to sense your strength. They'll feel it in the way you walk, the way you listen, the way you choose calm over chaos. We live in a time when oversharing has become normal. Everyone is posting their lives, their pain, their opinions, their every thought. But the more you reveal, the less value your words carry. The more you expose, the less mystery remains. When you constantly explain yourself, you teach others to take your presence for granted. But when you keep something hidden, something sacred, your words begin to matter again. There is a quiet kind of power in being unexplainable. People will wonder about you. They'll sense that there's something deeper within you, something not everyone can access. And that's the point. Not everyone deserves access to your soul. Mystery builds attraction, yes, but more importantly, it builds respect. It reminds people that you are not for display, that you are not here to entertain curiosity. You are a temple of thoughts, dreams, and emotions, not a museum for people to walk through at will. The more you honor your mystery, the more you protect your peace. Because when you speak less, you listen more. You start to see people for who they really are. You begin to notice what's genuine and what's not. Silence becomes your filter. It reveals truth in ways words never can. Silence is not empty. It is full of answers. When you stop speaking so quickly, you start to see who truly cares and who was only pretending. Because here's the truth. When you stop feeding people with constant updates, only two kinds of people remain. The ones who care about you and the ones who cared about what you gave them. Silence has a way of separating the two. Those who truly love you won't disappear just because you're quiet. They don't need your constant words to stay close. They don't need explanations to understand your heart. They'll stand beside you in the calm and in the storm without demanding access to every corner of your soul. They respect your silence because they know it's not rejection, it's reflection. But then there are others, those who only stayed around because of what they could gain. The ones who thrived on your openness, your vulnerability, your constant availability. When you become quiet, they grow restless. When you stop explaining, they start assuming. When you no longer feed their curiosity, they drift away. And that's how silence protects you. Because silence doesn't just hide you, it reveals them. It shows you who's real. It exposes who was genuine and who was only curious. It filters your life in a way that words never could. When you stop talking, you start seeing. You start recognizing who checks in because they care and who checks in because they're nosy. You notice who understands your silence and who gets frustrated by it. And suddenly you realize that your quiet has a purpose. It's teaching you discernment. That's why silence is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's not avoidance, it's awareness. It's the language of those who no longer need to prove themselves. The peace of those who have nothing left to explain. There's a certain beauty in being misunderstood when your intention is pure. Because your silence is not meant to convince anyone. It's meant to protect your spirit. Let people think what they want. The truth always speaks for itself in time. You don't owe everyone access to your emotions. You don't owe the world your every thought. Some things are meant to stay between you and God. Some lessons are meant to be lived quietly, not announced. Because the more you guard your inner world, the more powerful your outer world becomes. Mystery gives you presence. Silence gives you clarity. Together they make you unshakable. So don't rush to fill the silence. Don't rush to explain your worth. Don't rush to prove your truth. Let your energy speak before your words do. Let your actions echo louder than your voice. Let your peace make the noise that your ego used to make. When you stop oversharing, you start to glow differently. You become calm, centered, grounded. You stop reacting to every opinion because you no longer need validation. You understand that people will always talk, but their opinions can't touch your peace if you don't hand it to them. And yes, there will be those who misread your mystery as arrogance. Let them. There will be those who think your silence is weakness. Let them think so, because true confidence never needs to defend itself. It simply endures. The power of mystery is this: it keeps people wondering, but more importantly, it keeps you rooted. It allows you to focus on what truly matters, while others are distracted by noise. It teaches you to move with grace, to speak with purpose, and to live with depth. So guard your silence, protect your mystery, not because you fear being known, but because you understand that not everyone deserves to know you deeply. When you speak, let it be meaningful. When you share, let it be intentional. And when you're silent, let it be powerful. Silence reveals the truth about others, but it also reveals the truth about yourself. It teaches you patience. It deepens your understanding. It shows you that peace doesn't come from being heard. It comes from being whole. So the next time you feel the urge to explain, pause. The next time you want to prove, breathe. The next time you want to speak, ask yourself if silence could say it better. Because often silence says everything. It speaks of wisdom, of self-control, of dignity. It whispers, I know who I am, and I don't need to prove it. Stay mysterious. Stay quiet. Stay strong. Let people wonder. Let them guess. Let them talk, because the less they know, the more they respect. And the more you stay silent, the clearer you'll see who's truly meant to walk beside you. Remember this: mystery creates attraction, silence creates revelation, and together they build unshakable peace. You don't have to be loud to be powerful. You just have to be still enough to hear your own truth. So speak less. Protect your peace. Keep your mystery. Because sometimes the most powerful voice in the room is the one that doesn't need to speak at all. Is this conversation helpful so far? There's a hidden kind of power that most people overlook. It doesn't come from speaking loudly, sharing boldly, or showing the world everything you're working on. No, real power comes from silence, from patience, from the ability to hold something sacred until it's ready to stand on its own. Too often we lose our strength by speaking too soon. We share our dreams before they're ready, our plans before they're solid, and our pain before it's healed. We open our hearts to people who haven't earned the right to hear our deepest thoughts. And in doing so, we give away the very energy we need to grow. When you reveal something too early, an idea, a dream, or even a healing process, you invite outside energy into something that was meant to grow quietly. You invite opinions, doubts, and even envy into a space that should have been protected. Some people won't understand your dream. Others will secretly hope you fail, and some might even try to stop you. Not because they are evil, but because they can't see what you see. There's a reason seeds grow underground before breaking through the soil. They need darkness. They need time. They need protection from the world until their roots are strong enough to handle the wind. And your dreams are no different. Let them grow in silence. Let them be watered by your discipline and nourished by your faith until they are unshakable. Then, and only then, let the world see the bloom. Many people don't fail because their dreams are impossible. They fail because they exposed them too early. They spoke before they built, they revealed before they were ready. The moment you share something fragile, it becomes vulnerable to interference. Guard your vision while it's still forming. Keep it sacred while it's still delicate. When you protect your dreams, you protect your energy. You stop wasting your time trying to convince others to believe in something that was never given to them to understand. You start moving quietly, confidently, knowing that what's yours cannot be taken if it's not exposed. There is incredible wisdom in knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. Because not every moment deserves your words, and not every person deserves your truth. Silence isn't about fear, it's about strategy. It's the mature understanding that timing matters just as much as truth. Sometimes silence is strength. Sometimes it's protection. But other times, speaking up is what gives life to your purpose. The key is knowing the difference. The wise don't speak just to fill space. They speak when their words will build, not break. Heal, not harm. Inspire, not impress. The person who talks all the time often loses credibility. But the one who chooses their words carefully commands attention. Words that are rare and intentional carry weight. They move hearts. They shape reality, because they are not born from noise, they are born from wisdom. You don't have to be the loudest voice in the room to be heard. Sometimes all you need is presence, the calm, confident presence of someone who knows when to speak and when to hold their peace. When you understand this balance, you become powerful without ever raising your voice. Your silence speaks for you in ways your words never could. It shows discipline, maturity, and strength. It tells people you're not desperate to be understood, because you already understand yourself. It tells them that your peace is more valuable than their opinion. And here's the truth: silence will test you. It will feel uncomfortable at first, especially when you want to explain, defend, or prove yourself. But over time, you'll realize that silence is freedom. It keeps your energy from scattering. It keeps your focus on your mission instead of other people's reactions. The world moves fast, too fast. Everyone is talking, posting, reacting, but in that chaos, silence becomes your superpower. When you choose not to reveal everything, you remain unpredictable. When you hold back your plans, you remain in control. When you keep your emotions sacred, you remain centered. The more private you become, the more peaceful your life gets. You stop feeling the need to justify your moves. You stop seeking validation. You stop being drained by people who don't understand your purpose. Instead, you start thriving quietly, rooted, grounded, and strong. Wisdom lives in timing. Not everything should be said right away. Not every feeling needs to be expressed. Not every truth needs to be shared. Sometimes what's needed most is patience, to wait until your words can create impact, not just noise. The right word at the right time has the power to heal a heart or change a life. But the wrong word said too soon can destroy what took years to build. So pause before you speak. Ask yourself, will this add value? Will this protect my peace? Is this the right moment? People often confuse silence with weakness, but silence is not retreat, it's control. It's the understanding that not everything deserves a response, and not everyone deserves access to your thoughts. It's a sign of wisdom, not fear. When you learn to master the timing of your words, your voice becomes more powerful. You won't have to repeat yourself. You won't have to fight to be heard. People will listen because they know that when you speak, it matters. Let your words become rare jewels, precious, meaningful, and intentional. Don't waste them on arguments that don't matter or people who won't understand. Save them for moments that build your destiny, and let your silence be just as strong as your speech. Let it communicate your peace, your self-respect, your restraint. Let it remind the world that you are not easily shaken. Because true wisdom is not found in constant speaking. It's found in knowing when to speak and when to stay still. You don't have to share everything. Not everyone deserves to know your plans, your pain, or your progress. Some things are meant to be lived quietly. Some blessings grow best in secrecy. And remember this: not everything needs to be said, not everyone needs to know, and not every emotion needs to be displayed. Silence, privacy, restraint. These are not signs of fear. They are the marks of strength. They are the habits of the wise. So let your dreams grow in silence. Let your roots deepen before you reveal your bloom. Let your words carry meaning, not just noise. Speak with purpose, and let every pause be filled with power. Because in the end, real strength isn't about being seen, it's about being steady. It's not about being heard, it's about being wise. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply stay silent and let your growth speak for itself.